Hello, everybody. So we're here once again, and this time we have a special person, at least in my eyes, because he actually does a podcast himself. And John here is a vegan bodybuilder, and I'm going to let you actually explain a little bit about how you went vegan and got into bodybuilding. If you want to start off with that.
Yeah, I never set out to become the world's largest vegan bodybuilder. That was never the goal. Um, I ran a lot. I did like cross country and a lot of running, and then I had a friend that was into wrestling, and that's how I got introduced into like weightlifting and all of that. I was about 14 years old when I started wrestling, and I really just went because my friend did it. Like I didn't think it would be a thing, but it became a whole season of that. But it was hard. And wrestling is extremely hard sport. After that year finished up, we started weightlifting, and I never went back to wrestling. So, 15 years old, dove into weightlifting, dove into bodybuilding, and that was my thing. I mean, it's been my thing for 18 years now. I've not taken more than a week off from the gym in 18 years. I just love it. I think I'm a little bit addicted. It's either probably the gym or drugs, but
You made the right choice.
or both. But yeah, no, the good kind of drugs. But veganism actually came before that. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think, oh, you probably built this body eating meat and then you switched over at some point in time. But no, I went vegetarian at 10 years old. It was not an overnight decision, but I do specifically remember being in the yard next to this yellow slide, and my best friend, Tommy Ray, she came over, and her mom had brought us hamburgers. And she said, if you eat that hamburger, you're killing a cow. And I remember standing there defending. Of course, if somebody attacks you, you're going to defend yourself and saying, well, your mom did this, your mom's the person that bought it, and my parents think it's okay and everybody else does it. So why do I need to change? But what she did for me, she planted a seed. She helped me wake up and realize that I have a choice in this. Even at 10 years old, I have a choice. I have a voice. I can speak. And over the next few months, I started removing beings from my plate, one at a time. That was the only way I knew how to do it back then. I know other people can do it faster now. Um, but Thanksgiving rolled around. I saw the turkey on the table. Turkey was like my favorite meat at the time,
Yeah.
like prior to even learning about vegetarianism or anything like that. And so I saw it that year, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. 10 years old, and so that was it. Vegetarian from then on until I was 13, on the way to middle school. And my mom had bought a PETA magazine to teach me some recipes or something. And I get like halfway through it, and it's saying why vegetarian isn't enough. It's showing the truth behind the dairy industry, how baby cows are taken from their mothers. And then what really shocked me was like being a vegetarian, I thought, oh, so these cows, they give some milk, and then once they stop making milk, they go off and live happy lives. And then I realized, no, they're turned into hamburgers too, you fool. Like
Yeah.
13, you're not smart enough to realize this. So I went into that article expecting to teach the editor or the person who wrote it how wrong they were. And I came out of it telling my mom, so this vegetarian thing needs to stop. I need to go vegan. And
Wow.
that was 13 years old. And then, like I said, I got into bodybuilding. Never really intended for any of this to go anywhere. I didn't like wake up one day and be like, yeah, I'm going to be an influencer. I'm going to get 100,000 followers on Instagram. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I want to teach the world how to go vegan. I really just thought this was for me. I thought it was a personal choice. I used to tell people, I used to lie to myself and tell other people, oh, it doesn't bother me if you eat meat. Like, you're doing you, I'm doing me. It doesn't bother me what you do. But that was a lie to them as much as it was a lie to myself. It does bother
Yeah.
me. It bothers me to know that animals are dying for literally no reason. I mean, even if you don't care about animals, we have humans that are starving while we're finding ways to feed billions of animals. So like, I just don't see why we don't get our heads out of our asses and take better care of the planet. Somebody woke me up at 10 years old. Somebody else helped wake me up at 13. And I viewed that as a personal choice for a long time, but now I view it as our ethical duty and obligation as a woken up human, as a vegan human. Like, we have voices, we need to speak about it. And so I guess, like I said, I never intended to end in this seat. This was never the goal. But now that I'm here and I wake up in this spot, it's like, why not meet with people like you, Mike? Why not continue to try and spread this and raise awareness and
Yeah.
keep dispelling myths? Because a lot of people think you can't be big and be vegan, or you can't be healthy and be vegan, or you can't eat good food and be vegan, or you got to give up culture to go vegan. And I just want to show people that they can literally do anything that they were doing before and be vegan and make the world a better place for them, for the animals, for the other people. So that was a little bit of a long-winded story, but yes.
That's okay. And actually, so you opened up a thing here. So I've got a young man that I know. He's 16 years old and he still lives at home and he wants to go vegan. And, so I've been talking to him, stuff like that. I used to play a video game with him. And, he gets stuff occasionally. His parents buy vegan stuff for him and plant-based. But would you have any advice for him on how to, start changing over without, his parents changing food?
Yeah, so of course, everyone has their own individual spots that they're in. When I was 10, my parents were pretty supportive. They really didn't see anything wrong with it. My dad had been a vegetarian somehow in the 80s and then decided to not. And my mom likes to claim that she hasn't eaten red meat in like 30 years, which may or may, I guess is probably true, but like still wasn't vegetarian. So they didn't really have any pushback there. That was pretty easy. But going vegan, not so much pushback, but more like I think legitimate concern. This was 20 years ago when I went vegan, and so my parents wanted me to go see a nutritionist and all these other things, and I actually did, and they were like, "No, you're actually really healthy. You're fine. Be killing you." But I just made that decision that I was gonna do this, and I guess I knew that like my mom was still going to go to the grocery store back before I had a car. I guess I could ride my bike, but I didn't really have money. So I did rely on my parents, and like it was something they allowed me to do while living in their house. So I think for this young man, this 16-year-old, what can he do? What does he truly have control over? He might be able to have control over a conversation with his parents. He might be able to get them to watch a documentary with him. Maybe it's his birthday and he's like, for my birthday, I just want you guys to watch this documentary. That would make me happy. Or
Yeah.
he tries to have a polite conversation and explain why he wants to try this. And maybe he needs to go and be tactful and use a health argument or something else. Like, hey, I found these things. Meat can contribute to cancer. I really want to try cutting this out for a bit. But at the end of the day, assuming he lives in a rural place, money's tight, he doesn't have a car, I would say do your best, man.
Yeah.
If you can do 80%, do 80%. If you do 90%, do 90%. If you can offer to cook family dinners once a week and do rice and beans instead of meat, something that's cheap, something that he can afford, ask him to put himself in the shoes or the position of the animals and say, if you were in their shoes, how much would you expect someone in your shoes to do for you?
Yeah.
And I think he can live with himself with that. And then once he's 18 or has his own job or his own car, then he kind of can decide what he puts in his mouth.
Yeah. Good answer. So do you feel that your strength ceiling was ever limited by being vegan compared to these, bodybuilders that eat meat?
I had wondered that for a very long time. And like I'm almost embarrassed to admit how long. I think probably for the first 16, 17 years of my journey as a vegan. I've been 20 years now vegan. So almost the entire time, realistically, until like maybe 2 years ago, I really believed maybe being vegan has held me back. Maybe that's why I haven't done what some of the other bodybuilders have done. For full disclosure, I'm not natural. I've used performance enhancing drugs to help build this physique. That's how I think the vegans are held back a bit, because a lot of vegans are very health conscious and not necessarily willing to take some of these risks, even though there's no moral obligation to not use these drugs. And so I think like the percentage of vegans willing to do this and take that risk is lower. And so I got up to 275 pounds. I moved to Tampa to train for almost 2 years with some of the best bodybuilders in the world after training on my own and with coaches, but not in that environment for the first 16 years. I made a lot of progress. I realized there were some areas that I hadn't been maximizing. but I still never went, in my eyes, that far. I never got to like the Olympia stage or really went super far with competing. I got pretty strong, just throw numbers out there. I squatted 585 for 3 reps, dumbbell incline, 160 pounds in each hand for 5 reps, flat bench 365 for 9 reps, like relatively strong. Deadlift 585 for 6 reps, relatively strong. It was bodybuilding. It doesn't, strength doesn't exactly correlate. But I was always wondering, like, dang, like some of these guys are getting to 300 pounds, 330 pounds. What am I doing wrong? Like, would animal protein help at this point? And I did wonder that until with coaching, I got to work with some other athletes, both vegans and I call them pre-vegans. They're not there yet, but pre-vegans.
I like that.
And watching some of these vegans progress at a rate way faster than myself, where I'm like, oh, if they stayed locked in, if they did all the things I did, they're going to surpass me. They're going to go much further with this. Or watching people that had been pre-vegan for 5, 6, 7 years, bodybuilding, using performance enhancing drugs, getting to what they thought was the best they could get, coming over, trying a plant-based diet, using less drugs, training harder, recovering better, and getting better within their first year of going plant-based than they had ever been eating meat. My girlfriend, I think, is a great example. She's got great genetics. One of her brother plays in the MLB.
Okay.
She had been working out, but then she went plant-based. She's been vegan for, no, she went vegan. Sorry. She went vegan. We go, in case people don't know, because this needs to be cleared up. I didn't know this. I'll get back to this. But when you go vegan, it's for the animals. It's 100% for the animals. You don't use lotions that have animal products. You don't buy leather belts. You don't eat animals. Plant-based, you do it for your health or for the environment. You do it for some reason other than the animals. Some people can be both, or you find one and that leads you to the other. But if you're doing this because you had a heart attack and you don't want to die, and you're 99.9% plant-based and you have like a little bit of cake once on Christmas and it's not vegan, then that's, in my eyes, it's not vegan if it's intentional. So just to clear that up. But she went vegan. I want to make sure I'm correct here. She went for the animals. But it also reflected in her health, her skin, her nails, and her lifts have skyrocketed as well. So I believed, for me, maybe there was a chance that being vegan had held me back. Nobody else has really done this in the world of bodybuilding, at least on the enhanced professional side. However, seeing some of my athletes go extremely far has helped me realize, no, this was my own self-limiting beliefs. My genetics aren't that great. Like, it took me a very long time to get strong. I just stuck it out for 18 years, so I got pretty far. But I think another great example, though, is Torrey Washington. He's over 50 years old. I know, I've talked with the guy, and I'll call it what it is. He's not that huge. He's like 150 pounds, but he's just got great physique, great shape, great symmetry, and he just qualified for the Mr. Olympia.
Oh, did he? Wow.
As a vegan. He's been vegan for like 30 years. So if this held people back, how could he have qualified to be among the best of the best in the world? And I do 100% believe this. I'll get some crap for it. I do believe he's natural. I think if he wasn't natural, why is he only 150 pounds? He would be bigger. He would just carry more size. So no, not anymore. For a long time, I sat there and wondered. I did, though.
So as for your view of what the definition of vegan is, I love that. And I actually take it a step further. To me, if you are vegan, not only are you, 100% plant-based, don't use leather and stuff like that too, but you're actually speaking up. You're doing some form of activism, whether it's posting on Facebook, whether it's, running, conventions that are, for vegans. You have to be doing something for the animals, because otherwise you're being complacent. And to me, that's not really veganism, so I'm with you on that.
Well, then let me counter and say that, Mike, I've been vegan about 4 years. Okay. The first 15 years, I didn't eat animals. I did that for the animals. And that's why I think I get up and do this every day. I'll admit there are days that I'm tired, days that I don't know what way to lead this forward. I've put my entire life, I've put my entire savings, I've put over half my retirement into building the Vegan Squad coaching team that we have now. And we can talk about that later. But everything I do right now is to make up for those years, to make up for that lost time. I think my only Like, I want to give myself some credit, or at least an excuse. Like, I was doing this alone for a long time. I didn't realize that other people were vegan. Like, when I went vegan, outside of my brother, I was able to convince my brother to go vegan.
Yeah.
I was doing this alone for the first, I think it was like another 3 or 4 years before I met another vegan. I ended up helping the girl that helped me go vegetarian.
Mhm.
I helped her go vegan. So,
Oh,
like,
nice.
it came full circle. But, like, outside of her and my brother, it might have been 8 or 9 years before I went to like a first vegan potluck, or like realized that there was like vegan culture. I was so isolated, I was so alone, and I felt like, to fit in with other people, my activism was, let me not tell anyone I'm vegan. Let me get 6 months to a year with you where you really like who I am at my core. And then you're going to ask me if I want pizza, and I'm going to say, no, thanks, I'm vegan. And then you're going to be like, what? This guy's cool. He works out and he's vegan. Maybe I need to rethink my life. But I realized nobody gets to that last, maybe I need to rethink my life. Like, oh, wow, he's cool and he's vegan. Okay, so what?
Yeah.
They didn't have somebody like my friend at 10 come up and be like, you're killing that cow. If you eat that hamburger, you're killing them. Maybe it's not the blood on your hands, but it's because of you. And I needed that. And same thing at 13. I needed that education, that awareness that, hey, these dairy cows that you think are fine after they get milked, and how do you think they got pregnant from the first place? You didn't think of that. That's okay. But, like, they don't go live a happy life after. They're sent to the same hamburger. So for me, yeah, 4 years. I have a friend that sent me my first vegan shirt. I started wearing it to the gym, and then that was extra pressure because it's like, if you got vegan on you, it's like you want to lift even harder, at least for me. And now I try to have that conversation everywhere I go. I mean, it's literally on my head. Like, I tried to go to the pool with Allie the other day, and I'm like, all I want is to just like have an hour to relax, be off the phone, not talk about veganism, because like it's been a long day and I just can't deal with somebody's crap, somebody's excuses. As soon as we sit in the tub, someone was like, "You're vegan?" I want to hear the spiel. And I'm like, good Lord. We go into it for 15 minutes. I cover ethics. I cover things that I think people don't realize, things that I think should be talked about more, like human rights are still important in my eyes.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't realize is these slaughterhouses, these animal agricultural facilities, are placed in lower income neighborhoods in the United States. That means AKA blacks and other immigrants and other people of lower socioeconomic levels. And the people that work in the slaughterhouses are often prisoners that are said, hey, you can go work off some of your sentence, or you can stay in prison longer. To me, that's not really a choice. You're kind of screwed either way. And so from a human rights aspect, it all makes sense. And we get to the end and she goes, well, I hear you. You make a lot of sense. But in the Bible, it doesn't say that I can't eat meat. So, I think I'll still do it. And I said, but does it say that you have to? Do you have to be part of this? Do you have to contribute to this? Do you have to hurt your health or the health of other humans or animals? Do you have to? Does the Bible say you have to do this? And she's like, no. And then she got out of the pool and left. And it's just like, there's so much. I hope everybody can wake up and realize we've been lied to our whole lives. The things that we think we have to do. You have to wake up and you have to marry somebody of the opposite sex. You have to get a house. You have to go to college because that's how you make money. That's how you make your parents proud. You have to eat meat because that's what men do. You have to have a normal haircut because that's the only way people are going to respect you or listen to you.
Oops.
You damn sure can't get head tattoos or anything like that because that's wrong. You shouldn't use words like fuck. You shouldn't use experimental drugs and psychedelics because it's going to fuck up your head. All these things. But you should drink because, drinking's legal. That's fine.
And smoke. Well, back then anyways. Cigarettes.
Smoking, we go back and forth on smoking, but if you smoke, you're not a horrible person.
Yeah.
But eating meat, go for it. Like, I want people to think for themselves. That's really, like, I believe most people are good. We just got a lot to work through, a lot of layers to peel back.
So as for you talking about with the slaughterhouse workers and where they put these, one of these slaughterhouses that I used to do vigils at, Hatfield, I've done actually quite a few there. I used to have this guy that came into a place that I worked in retail, and one day he came in and he was actually wearing a Hatfield outfit. And I said, you work at Hatfield? He said, yeah. And I started talking to him. I said, are you on the kill floor? And he said, no. He said, I can't fucking do that. He said, those fuckers are crazy. You should see the stuff they do. I said, no, I don't want to. I said, well, if you have such a hard time working there, why are you working there? He said, Mike, he said, I'm black. He said, this is the most money that I can make in my area. He said, I don't want to be there, but I got kids to feed. I said, I can understand that. I can relate to that. And, unfortunately, they do this stuff on purpose. You're 100% right. Because nobody in the right mind wants to be sitting there killing animals. I mean, yeah, these people want to, choose their taste lots of times over it, but they're not the ones that are sitting there having to look in the eyes of these animals as they're, hitting them with the stun gun that doesn't always work and, things like that. It's just, it's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. I feel like we will always do better as a species when we come from a place of empathy rather than judgment. And I can't imagine what it's like to work in a slaughterhouse. I can't imagine. I've never gone out and intentionally killed an animal before, so I don't even know what. I take that back. I think I went fishing with my dad when I was young, and I know that the first time that I realized what fishing was, I had a problem, but then I got convinced to go back in the future and do it. And clearly, I'm filled with like remorse. These aren't like happy, fond memories of me and my dad fishing. It's like, what the fuck was I doing? But a lot of vegans will be quick to be like, slaughterhouse workers suck. And it's like, I don't think anybody woke up or was born and was like in a kindergarten, if they went to school, I want to be a slaughterhouse worker. And if they did, we probably need to like lock them in some type of place or keep monitoring on them. If you're 6 years old and you desire to kill animals, then you are probably going to go up and want to kill humans too. Like it's so easy to point the finger and be like, slaughterhouse workers are wrong when we've paid for it. Yeah. We've given them an incentive. I always say this: if bananas cost more per pound than beef, we just have banana trees. That's all we'd have.
If the slaughterhouse workers are bad too, then you have to, technically say that anybody working in a restaurant that's serving meat is bad. I mean, so where do you draw the line? I know actually somebody that was vegan that was working at he was 18 at the time, and he was working at McDonald's, and he hated it. But he's like, Mike, I've got to make money. I'm like, I'm not judging you. I understand, there's a demand for it. You have to have a job. When you can, you go get a better job. But, just stay strong and,
yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
It's so hard because, like, I would classify myself on the spectrum on veganism. You have, like, when I first started and I was the vegan that closeted. I knew it was the right thing to do, too afraid, too unconfident in myself, not able to be secure enough to share it with people because I would think I was just worn down. Being the only vegan I knew, like having no place to come back and vegan fill up my cup, I got worn down pretty quickly early on. I never had my angry vegan phase. That started like within the last 2 years. I'm now in my angry vegan phase. I would classify myself a little bit more as militant, and to the point of where, like, I try not to even go to restaurants that aren't vegan. I try to go support the vegan restaurants. I want them to be there. It's like, yeah, it's great that Burger King has the Impossible Whopper. There was one time when I was in Texas and everything else was closed, and I had promised we would go grab something to eat. And so I was like, I guess this is it. This is like the only vegan we did. And I don't think that's wrong. And looking at it from a holistic aspect, yeah, I'm helping Burger King a little bit here, but I'm putting in demand for this vegan product. So they're going to stock whatever we demand the most, right?
Yeah.
And I try often to go to fully vegan restaurants because I want to support them with my business. But when you look at it, like, what grocery store is fully vegan? Where, like, I think there's like one in California. Like, I can't just fly to California every time I need groceries, and I can go to Walmart. And I know Walmart's not like, if there was I think Costco, if there was a Costco nearby, I'd go there, but we don't have those where I'm at in Florida. But still, I've watched Walmart go from like one vegan item to now a whole freezer section. Yeah. They've made it easy. And it's people like me and people like everybody else that's been vegan for a long time that have made this happen. But it is hard when you're trying to, like, I'll put it this way: the world is just not set up for vegans to succeed right now. Yeah. It's still in. I realize, like, I'm still learning 20 years in. I bought lotion the other day, and I get home, and my business partner's like, "Did you check? I bet that's not vegan." And I look, and it wasn't. And it's like, Oh my
We make
gosh, like
mistakes, but we're human, you know?
we're human. And we can let other people know and show them the way. And that's my biggest thing right now is trying to let other people know that this can be normalized. That I know some people are going, especially businesses are going to plant-based because it's less confrontational. But to me, it's like we need to claim this word because we are vegan and we need to help redefine what vegans are and help reinforce stereotypes. And that's why I'm like, oh, was this a mistake to get the word vegan on my head? Should I have gotten plant-based or something?
No.
But I think this is the way. And then also encouraging other vegans to stick together. Got a couple in the house with me right now. My girlfriend, life partner, Allie, she's vegan. My business partner, he's vegan. My other business partner, she's vegan. And our senior editor, who actually, coolest story ever, she watched one of our reels last March and was vegetarian. That reel made her go vegan. And now she makes reels for us that help other people go vegan. And so it's like this big circle. And I just want these people to know you don't have to stick 16 years out alone.
Yeah.
You can use social media the way we did, Mike, and connect and build this community within the vegan world so that people stick with it.
And I want to clarify, backtrack a little bit. So my view of, the definition of veganism and being a vegan, it's not looking down on people. And like, you say, well, by my definition, then it's only been a few years, you're still helping animals and stuff by not eating meat. But I just believe that, this is a social justice movement and we need to keep moving forward. So like, everybody gets stuck, and like sometimes people have to step back. I had to step back from doing going and doing vigils and stuff like that. Just the stuff that I saw at these slaughterhouses, it messes with your head, and so but I did other forms of activism. So it's, to me, again, it's just my definition. I'm not looking down on you or any other vegan. I wanted to clarify on that. So
How, I didn't feel like you were looking down on me. I feel like we're speaking honestly, right? Like,
yeah,
the way I view the world is like my value for the world is what I could do for my younger self. What have I learned that if I had a time machine, what would I go back and I found 10-year-old me? I'd say, hey, you're thinking about vegetarian, go on ahead and go to vegan. And it's okay. People are going to make fun of you no matter what you do. They're going to put you down. And actually, it's funny. The more you speak up and the more you succeed, the more people are going to put you down. So fuck all of them. Go vegan. Put it out there. Be loud and proud about it. And guess what? Instead of waiting the next 16 years to find your friends, imagine you're into like collectible cars, dude. Imagine all you care about is like old race cars from the 60s. You don't tell a soul in the world. Guess how many friends you're going to have that care about these cars? A big fat zero.
zero.
So you want to tell the world you're vegan? You wear a vegan shirt everywhere you go. You put it on your head. You put it on your handle. You don't go to podcasts with John Thomas. You go to podcasts with Bodybuilding. Let's go, Mike, wearing a vegan shirt as well. Put it out there and you'll find your tribe and you'll find passion. You'll find purpose. You'll find community, connection. Those are the things I wish I could go back and tell my younger self. So that's what I try to tell people now. And it's never from a place of looking down. And I think that we need that with our activism. It's like, hey, Jess, you're vegan, and that's fucking awesome. That's what we need. But Jess, we also need you to speak, and your life will be better from you speaking. And the way that I think we can look at it as vegans is this is a social justice movement. We can look back at any other great social justice movement and think, what would we have done then? And then what are we doing now?
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say, Mike, tomorrow we wake up in an alternate reality. It's 1829. We're in the deep south of the United States. Slavery's legal. You own a few slaves. Your family owns some slaves. Your neighbors own some slaves. Well, you wake up on this morning and you decide, well, man, you know what? The black people, they're not so bad. I don't think we should have slaves. I'm going to go free my slaves. I'm not going to buy anymore. But my brothers, my parents, my neighbors, that's their choice. They're on their own journey. They can wake up whenever they want to. Whenever it's right for them, they can let go of their slaves too. No, fuck that. People decided, no, it's wrong to own slaves, and I'm going to speak about it. I'm going to put it out there. And I feel like change is slow. And the way I view it is if I was born in 1600 or 1700, I like to believe I would spend the rest of my life fighting and possibly even dying to help end slavery in the United States the way that it's set up. And I'm just born in this century in this country, and my thing to fight for the rest of my life is for the animals. And I will still fight for human rights issues. Funny enough, you can do both at the same time. You can say fuck ICE and stop eating animals in the same sentence. And it's not that hard. And we can put it out there. And really, I feel like it's a little bit harder for a lot of people to know. Like for me, I am very upset with the current administration in the United States. It's hard to know what's an effective way to fight that. You can speak, you can protest, you can vote. But 3 times a day, or 6 if you're a bodybuilding vegan, you get to sit down and choose a meal. And that has an impact right then and there. And that you can change. And I know how to show how other people to be able to do this. And so that's why this is my cause. And frankly, this is where I might lose some people as well, but I'll speak honestly with you, Mike. Just talked to Gary Yourofsky the other day, and the sad truth is no one else in the world has it worse than the animals. And so that's a part of the reason why I'll keep fighting for them. I mean, if you have managed to get out of the slave trade, if you manage to break out of whatever prison you're in and you're a human, there's a chance for you. But if you're a cow that breaks out of a slaughterhouse, where are you going to go? Who's going to take care of you? How are you going to get help? How are you going to live a normal life? Like we've destroyed so much of the natural habitat, and there's just nowhere for them to go. There's no way out. And so that's why I try to use my voice as much as humanly possible for the animals.
So a few things to touch base with. You said that you still fight, you believe in human rights, that they can coincide and stuff like that. But by fighting for veganism, you're also fighting for, humans and stuff like that. If we ended, feeding these animals to kill them, to eat them, we could feed the world many times over. We could end world hunger right there. You wouldn't have these slaughterhouse workers who turn to, drinking and drugs and then beating their wife and stuff like that, because it's been proven that they have a higher, tendency to commit domestic violence and stuff like that because of the stuff they see. So even being vegan, you're actually fighting for human rights as well. And I've had to use this when I'm doing vigils and stuff, and people are like, well, why do you only care about animals? Well, one, humans are animals, but two, fighting for this is fighting for them. And I totally forgot my other point. You brought up about with Gary and talking about that. So it's just it blows my mind away that in the course of a week, we kill more just land animals to put on our plates than all the humans have died in wars and genocides and stuff like that in the course of history. I mean, and it takes less than a day to get, to kill more animals than the amount of Jews that died in World War II. I mean, people don't realize what we are doing to animals and how many are dying. When I try to tell people the numbers, they can't even register that. I'm like, you can go to websites and actually see a timer and see how many died in the time you've been there, how many die in a year for each different type. It's mind-boggling.
I think it's almost impossible to comprehend. I mean, we have the numbers. We have basically land animals in the United States. We have 6 entire Holocausts per day. Here, like compared to the human Holocaust, like it's just it's really just hard to even wrap your head around it. So I think a lot of people just try to look away and try not to see it because it's easier. It's if you look away and you don't see it, then you don't have to change, and change is hard.
And we've really deviated. I'm trying to like go to these other things, and oh wow, I could do like 10 podcasts with you. We could talk for hours. So I wanted to ask you. Sorry.
Oh, one last thing. One thing that I'm realizing too is like right now, it's the United States. We're pretty charged in one direction or the other. But I'm hoping I can find common ground with people. I hope by speaking up against abducting humans off the street and bringing awareness to that people will also see my name, the Bodybuilding Vegan, and be like, oh, I agreed with what this person thought about this. I wonder if they have anything else that I would like to look into or possibly see. So maybe we can use this as a way to find common ground with people. And I mean, vegans are about 1% of the population. So really any other groups that want to hop in with us, we'll take, because we need some more numbers.
And I like the way you're thinking with that, and I've never really looked at that, because like I try to avoid political stuff on my page, my YouTube page and stuff like that, and and other things. But I've slowly been getting into it just because I can't help but fight for people. Unfortunately, I just I'm a fighter. So I wanted to ask you, why do you think so many people still have the illusion that if you're vegan, you're weak? If you're vegan, you're scrawny?
I think it's deeply ingrained in social media, the traditional media, literature. I mean, it's almost like, I have no doubt, people probably even still think this, but like, at least referring to other things in our country, other movements, like, people were taught that Black people are less intelligent, that they felt less pain, that they just couldn't achieve what other people could do, which is what blew people's minds when they started beating people at sports. Like, they had to prove that they could keep up just to be given any recognition or any thought, become the president, and so I think right now with veganism, like, we're such a small minority, 1 out of every 100 people or so. It's been seen as taboo. And then, of course, we have what I believe are wonderful organizations like PETA. But anytime they push a line or cross a boundary, they get thrown under the bus for that, even though they're speaking up for defenseless animals. I just think there aren't enough people putting out positivity in the vegan world right now. And that's like, I'm going to turn this around to what I'm doing. I have the Vegan Squad coaching team, and we help people go vegan, but we also help vegans become more fit. And it's a big thing. It's not just physical fitness. Like, physical fitness is where I learned a lot about myself. I learned routines. I learned going to the gym, building habits. But I also found my own confidence through there. I found out how to love myself through there and elevate myself, not just physically, but also in all aspects. I realized, if you can get a coach for building your body, you can get a coach for building your mind, you can get a coach for building your business. Like, you can find other ways to elevate and grow. And so that's kind of our goal, is the more people we can help go vegan, awesome. But the more we can pour into the cups of our vegan athletes and help them on their mental journey, help them on their spiritual journey, their emotional journey, their physical journey, and just continue to elevate them and support them and push them up, the more we can do that, I think the more other people on the outside are going to look in and be like, they're happy, they're fit, they're healthy, maybe even sexy, smart. They look like they're having a good time. And the thing that they all have in common is they're vegan. Maybe there's something to this. I mean, maybe it's not just a cult. Maybe there's something a little deeper going on here. And I think that's why I've used bodybuilding, for me, for my activism, is to break that one stereotype that vegans can't be strong and big. That's all I'm here to do. I'm here to break that. There's other people out there that can reverse their diabetes, live after heart attacks, find ways to improve their blood lipids or blood values or lipids, etc. That's great. I need all these food trucks that I go to. I need them to be there to prove that vegan food can taste great. And we need people like Ricky Gervais to make great comedy and then plug in some vegan stuff. And they'll be like, oh, I love this guy for stand-up. I guess I'll listen about the vegan. Or Lewis Hamilton, the race car driver. Like, oh, he's really good, and he's vegan. Torrey Washington, who's really good, and he's vegan. And the more we get, Joaquin Phoenix. I love Joaquin Phoenix. He's great. I love Natalie Portman. She's great. Oh, they're both vegan? So I think that's what we need to do. Instead of just, I don't think we're going to get people on our side by all the reasons I wish people would, by just sharing the ethics and sharing the health. Like, I mean, we got people that smoke cigarettes. I can't go up to them and be like, hey, let's get you help. Let's stop eating animals. And it's like, I smoke 3 packs a day, bro. Why are you talking to me about health? But maybe I could be like, you smoke 3 packs a day and you're killing yourself, and that's your choice. But do we need to kill animals alongside? Maybe we can have a talk there. But anyways, if all these people that we look up to can also be vegan, then I think it makes people want to be vegan to be like the people that they look up to and maybe listen to the message.
And we're definitely getting a lot more, professional fighters, boxers, MMA fighters, Olympic gold medalists, things like that. I know this was some years ago, but the Tennessee Titans, a football team, I don't really watch much sports anymore. I boycotted them a long time ago because of them complaining they didn't make enough money when they're sitting on a bench making $400,000 a year. I'm like, my parents were struggling to make, ends meet. And I'm like, you're complaining about that? I can't support you. But the Tennessee Titans, I know years ago, they like half the team went plant based, and they actually had their best year, or at least back then, ever, and actually went to the Super Bowl. I can't remember if they won it or not, but I was just like, wow. And in fact, I think that's actually in Game Changers, where they talk about that. So yeah, we're definitely getting there. But I appreciate what you do and keep that up. So my next question is actually going back to the gym. Do you still get people that say you can't be vegan or anything while you're there? Do you get heckled at all at the gym?
It's funny, recently, like in the last couple years. Well, one, a lot of people think the head tattoo is a joke. They don't think it's real. They're like, I get that. Is that real? I'm like, why wouldn't it be, for one? But two, like, because I think I break their stereotype. Like, I'm a relatively large individual. I was lucky enough with my genetics to be born to be able to grow to 6 feet tall. And at my biggest, like 275 pounds. I take up space. That's a big human. I don't think I'm that big of a human until I try to fit in a car seat. God forbid I have to fly somewhere or something, or a movie theater seat. Like, that's when I realize this is probably what it feels like to be fat too. I'm just
uncomfortable.
But they'll think it's a joke, and I think it's because there is this trend right now with some people, like some bodybuilders. They'll be a little bit controversial, and they'll be clearly not natural. I like to think that I'm clearly not natural. Anybody that knows enough about bodybuilding would just look at me and be like, okay, that's not naturally possible. And so they'll make like a posing video, and they'll be like, vegan, natural bodybuilder. And then it's like making jokes. Like, clearly I'm not vegan because I'm this big, and clearly I'm not natural because I'm this big, but it's an inside joke. So I have these like little 18-year-olds that over the last year have come up to me like, hey, that's a joke, right? And I'm like, why would it be a joke? And they're like, I saw this other guy and he's not vegan, so he jokes about it. I thought you were. I'm like, you think that this would be a joke, a whole head tattoo? And they're like, well, pretty committed. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm vegan. They're like, what? Like, really? And then they're like, are you natural too? I'm like, no, I'm not natural, but I am vegan. And like, you can go this far. I just think it's because it's still a big shock to a lot of people. And then I love it too. Like, it goes one of two directions from there. I could never do that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, you could. You definitely could. Everybody. Or got another ones. Oh, wow. I got one guy. I was born vegan. I've been vegan for 18 years, but I started going to the gym last year, and I decided to eat meat so I could grow better. And I'm just like, bro. Or I get I wonder how big you'd be if you ate meat. I'm like, what? How much bigger do I got to get?
Gosh.
Or have like a nice, like 12-minute conversation with this kid. And he's like, well, yeah, wow, I think it's so awesome that you're vegan. Like, I actually care about animals too, but I want to get big, so I'm going to keep eating chicken. And I'm just like, I am literally twice your size. What makes you think you need chicken to grow muscle? And for the haters out there, for the people who are like, well, you use steroids, so none of this counts. None of what you said matters whatsoever. For my first 8 years, I was 100% natural. I went from 120 pounds to 200 pounds naturally, without the best training knowledge. This was a long time ago, so there wasn't as much information available. I never had a coach. That was all on my own, trying to figure out what to eat, because there weren't other vegan bodybuilders really to look at. I got Robert Cheek. He was about the only one. I found one of his books. But that was all on my own, up to a 315 bench at 20 years old, a 405 squat for 3 reps at 20 years old, with subpar training, really good work ethic, maybe okay on the diet. Like I think I could have gone back and finagled some things. I wish I could have coached myself, but like a lot of people will knock me on that and say steroids did all this. Like I got pretty far. I got further than 99%, 100% naturally as a vegan, just outside of being a teenager. And yeah, like I just, for a lot of these people, like for everybody that's like, oh, I want to be big. I'm like, well, I was bigger than you naturally at 20 as a vegan. So you could do this too, barring genetics or something else. I do want to say though, a lot of people, and Robert Cheek's actually really good at this, but a lot of people ask and say like, has being vegan held you back? And what I think is that frames it as being vegan could at worst hold you back or at best be neutral. I'm going to argue being vegan has helped me in a number of ways. So we'll start with physical. I've been vegan longer than I can remember. I've been vegan over half my life. I've been vegan before I ever touched a weight. So I can't say I would have had better or worse progress, but what I can say, blood work comes back great. Recovery is great. I was beating kids at wrestling that were older than me as a vegan. So like clearly like it wasn't holding me back then. Mm-hmm. And I got bigger and stronger than most people I know, fully vegan. But I do believe for the long haul, especially from some of these bodybuilders, these enhanced bodybuilders using drugs that hurt their heart, I'm like, man, if we can get y'all to stop eating steaks and eating some tofu, you're probably going to live longer.
Yeah.
So from a physical health perspective, yeah, I believe it. Marathon runners figured it out in like the 80s. They found out if you eat plant-based, you can run longer. So I just think bodybuilders still have their heads up their butts. But what about the other parts? Because it's not just the physical that makes an athlete. It's the mindset. I don't love bodybuilding. I love working out. I love lifting heavy weights. I love eating food. I do not love doing lots of cardio. I don't love posing. I don't love getting lean and having to not eat and feeling tired. So literally the only reason I did those parts that I didn't love is because I wanted to be a mascot for the animals. I wanted to stand out. I wanted to take up space. I wanted people to see me when I walked into a gym and see that vegan shirt or see that thing on my head. Or in the years before that, hopefully ask me for my Instagram so I can share that I'm the bodybuilding vegan. And they're like, what, you're vegan? Because I didn't have the vegan clothing, but I could trick them and then share my Instagram. Like I was trying to weasel my way in any way that I could. And being vegan, I feel like has given me the biggest competitive edge in the world because I would not, if the world went vegan tomorrow, what am I going to ask myself before I do like a heavy set of squats, like a hack squat, and be like, if you don't get 10 reps, like these cows are going to die because you're not big enough to change somebody's mind. If I can't go in there with that kind of ammunition, or think about the last slaughterhouse footage I saw, or think about that kid watching me and be like, let's show him what a vegan can do. If I don't have that kind of pressure, I might become a pretty chill, relaxed person, but I think I'm going to have a lot of energy and motivation the rest of my life to try and prove that vegans can do this. And so I think being vegan has been the reason I've gotten this far. If I wasn't vegan, I don't think I'd be this far. So for me, and Robert Cheek said this, he's like, people always like to say, well, I wonder if being vegan held you back from this. But like, what if, like in Robert Cheek, what if it made me a 2-time New York Times bestseller? What if I won the overall bodybuilding at the show because of this? What if I went on a book tour? What if I did this? What if I did that? All because I was vegan. And so I want anybody out there that's vegan listening to hear this and be like, this is your superpower. This is what is going to allow you to work harder than other people. When other people are ready to throw in the towel, you know there's lives on the line. So I don't stop. I don't sleep as much as I should. I sleep pretty well, but I work more than I should. Maybe not. I don't know. I struggle with this every single day. Could I be doing more for the animals? I usually work myself until I'm no good, until I can barely think straight or get a coherent thought out. And then I'm like, okay, it's time to stop working because you're going to do more harm than good. Go get some sleep so you can show up the next day and figure out how you're going to do this for the next 70 years. Because the animals are going to need you your whole life. It's like you're in the 1600s and slavery still rampant and rolling. You got a lot of time that you need to work through. And like you said, Mike, you got to take care of yourself. I did want to turn around this and ask, because there might be some people watching or tuning in that just frankly aren't familiar. Younger me would have said, Mike, what is a vigil and why do you do a vigil?
So we also call it bearing witness. We go there to document. I do live streams and stuff like that when I've done them, to document how the animals come there, the conditions that they're transported in. We have signs usually. Sometimes people stop to get more information. We try to get footage inside the slaughterhouses when we can, like Plainfield, a turkey slaughterhouse. They lots of times have the doors open and you can see the turkeys hanging upside down, trying to get free as they're going to, get their throats slit. And hopefully, it's bad saying hopefully they get their throat slit, but if not, there's more pain coming for them otherwise. So it's, to bring awareness of what's actually happening to these animals, because most people think that, these animals are living happy lives and they're getting to be 20 years old, and then, okay, we kill them. And, after they've been in a field and had friends and all that. No, these are babies that are a few months old that they're killing. And sometimes these animals are transported for 2 days with no food and no water on this death truck, as I call them, in their own filth. There's times where these trucks are parked outside in the middle of winter in freezing temperatures, and these turkeys are exposed to the wind and stuff like that, and they'll sit there and freeze to death. But you know they don't care. The company doesn't care. They just want money, and people don't care usually because they don't know. But of course, lots of times when they see this stuff, they will defend it. We've done this for thousands of years. And then I say, okay, well, for thousands of years, humans have enslaved other humans. Humans have killed other humans. So does that make it okay? I mean, there's still in tribes that actually, if your relative dies, I forget what country it's in. I was reading about this not long ago. Let's say your brother died or whatever. It's a custom there that you guys crack open his skull and the family shares eating his brain to make his memory live on. Does that make it okay for people to start eating other humans? So we can all say, well, it's happened for thousands of years. I mean, 100 years ago, women couldn't vote. So hey, it happened for hundreds of years before that, or thousands of years before that. So everything changes over time. Sorry, I can rant and rant about this, buddy.
Oh no, I think it's good to share. I mean, a lot of people probably see, even somebody like myself that went vegan for the animals. I just didn't even know that it's a weird thing. I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know there were other people out there to do it. And I think, like you said, the other way to view it, bearing witness, to have a friend that does it, and they will go and take photos of the animals on the truck, because that will be the only documentation that these animals ever existed. Otherwise, they'll just be killed and eaten and gone forever. And I think it's also fair. A lot of people don't know this. I didn't really realize this until way late in my journey, that it's babies. On a timetable, we eat most animals, whereas if they lived a human lifespan, we'd be eating 2-year-olds. Like, these turkeys are a number of weeks old. Pigs, 6 months old. Cows, a couple years old, I think at the most. Like, literally, like, not even a tenth of these animals' lifespans. So they're not. It's just it's hard to even like comprehend the whole system. I mean, it actually, I mean, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense business wise.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what I'm really into right now. I'm interested in business and how to refine things and have better procedures, and make things more efficient and find bottlenecks. And we've just done that with living beings, and it's incredibly scary.
So jumping back really quick to doing this bearing witness in visuals, there was a time at Hatfield where I actually got pretty lucky. There was a tractor trailer that was coming, and it's a 4-way intersection with stop signs also always, and he wasn't going to stop. And of course, I wanted him to stop so that people could get footage of the pigs that were going in there and give them water. And he ended up having to jam on the brakes, and like everybody there screamed, Mike, I was either going to get run over or he was stopping. We called the police and actually showed them the footage, and they're like, well, why did you cross? I said, there's a crosswalk there, there's a stop sign, why are you asking me why I crossed the street? He's like, well, you're not allowed to stop and impede traffic. I said, You can see the footage. I did not stop. I stopped when he jammed on the brakes and almost hit me. And then I started yelling at him, you know. But the cops said, okay, they went and talked to him and gave him a warning. They told us that he wasn't going to stop because he was afraid of his life, that we might attack him. Okay, well, we've been going there for, years, and why would anybody attack you? And you're taking these animals to be killed, but you're worried about us attacking you. So
it's so backwards. It's like, yeah, we are the good guys objectively. Like we're just trying to, and the thing is, like, I mean, it wasn't like you were vigilantes trying to hijack the truck. Like,
yeah.
Oh man.
So back to bodybuilding. Have you ever had somebody try to correct you on nutrition? I've actually watched some of your videos, and like I love the one where you're in Trader Joe's and like, this has this amount of protein in that. Because anytime I go to a new doctor, first thing they say is protein. I'm like, no. They're like, iron, no.
Yeah, a lot of people will try to correct me or try and educate me, which I think is interesting, whether they are pre-vegan or vegan. I'll get it on both sides. So I'll start with the pre-vegans first. I'll be told that I need protein, or that I need iron, or I need heme iron, or I need B12, or I need all these things. The interesting part, though, what I've taken from my business advice is we should seek out and obtain advice and instructions and education from people that are doing things that we one day aspire to be doing. So when you're 350 pounds and overweight, 120 pounds and never gone to the gym, and I'm not here to talk shit about people, it's just, if you've never accomplished anything in nutrition, health, fitness, why are you then telling me that I don't know what I'm doing when I've been vegan for 20 years. I've been bodybuilding for 18, but for 18 years, I've been very interested in nutrition. I've done a lot of self-experimentation. I've tried vegan keto. I tried at 16 years old going to 300 grams of protein a day, which was a lot back then, and I didn't feel like I needed that, so I dropped less. And then recently with a coach within the last 2 years, we went up to 370 grams of protein a day, which is ridiculous. Yeah, it worked. And everybody on the vegan side will tell me, like, that's crazy. You don't need that much or whatever. And I'm like, but you're 160 pounds and you've never pushed like this. Like, so you may not know. And I'm not saying my way is the right way or my way is the only way. It's just my way. This is the way that's worked for me. This is the way that's allowed me to get up to 275 pounds as a vegan bodybuilder. And it's the same way that I've used with over 500 clients over the last 5 years. This has been my way. There's plenty of ways to do things. Of course, you can do things differently. But I think it's interesting when people think that they know things because they watched a YouTube video, or they know things because they read it in a book. And I'm not here to like knock on science, but there will be people all the time, like in the vegan bodybuilding groups that I go in, and they'll be like, the studies show, bro, that you don't need that much protein because this study right here said you could do it with less. Like, okay, great. Or, hey, bro, you know the only reason you grew is because you took steroids, because this study shows that people staying at home, sitting on the couch, taking steroids grow better than natural athletes that go to the gym. So you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, great. Well, I've worked with over 500 people. So take my personal achievements, just throw that away. Whatever's worked for one person, great. Like, big deal. Like, that's awesome. Ronnie Coleman, best bodybuilder of all time by my standards. He was great before he became enhanced. He was great at multiple different points in his journey. And he was also great before he was a bodybuilder. He was a state record power lifter, like, and a very smart individual. Like, he was exceptional. And if you copy everything he did, it probably won't work for you if you don't have exceptional genes. And so I think a lot of my own takeaways is I've done this with over 500 people. I now lead a team of 15 coaches that are using basically my way. I'm not saying I coach like all of what they're doing. They all have their own unique traits, but like styles, methodologies, these are things I share, how to train. And so, yeah, the studies might show this. That's great. But you have to ask yourself, with these studies, were they done on people that were vegan? And then, like, how do you know? Are they self-proclaimed vegan? Are they actually ethically vegan? Or all these people saying, protein studies, it shows that you don't need this much protein. how many studies were done on steroid using bodybuilders that have been bodybuilding for more than 10 years that are professionals or extremely experienced? I'm going to guess 0, because how many professional athletes are going to drop down to like some college level study and eat the food that this professor says or that this scientist says and do this with their training the way that the study says and do these other things? Like, no, like bodybuilders are extreme. They're going to go off and do absolute everything possible to make progress to win.
Yeah.
So like there are studies showing you can get by with less protein or be like have a maximal point, which is great. But if no one in the real world, no one in the top 10 is doing that, then again, why are you? Now, if you're just general population, 160-pound male that just wants to get fit and look good in the summer, please go by the studies. But don't tell me from these studies that you've read with no practical experience, nothing that you've done for yourself, or if you haven't worked with hundreds of people and been able to prove your methods true with them, that it won't work that way or that it's useless. These are just things that have worked. And so for me as a coach, my whole goal is, like I said, to be able to give my younger self or another version of younger me better ways to get to where they want to go, to save them time. I think that's time's our most valuable resource. That's why coaches are valuable. They help you get from A to B faster. You might be able to get to B on your own. Younger me at 13, I could get to where I'm sitting at 33 years old now, 20 years later. I could have done it. But man, if I could go back and talk to 13-year-old me right now, I could probably get there in like 5 years, 10 years, maybe, like shave it in half. And then where do I go with all this extra time built back in? So you can either beat your head against a brick wall or you can pay to learn from other people's mistakes. And that's basically what we do with the Vegan Squad coaching team. So we try to help people get from A to B.
We will be linking that too for people watching and below so that they can go there if they want to, get more information and stuff like that from him. John also will be linking his sites because you have really awesome videos and stuff like that. I enjoy watching them. And I love that. I love it at the same time. I hate it, but I mean, it makes me feel better knowing that, you get the same things in bodybuilding. Well, I mean, it's a different things that people talk to you about that I get, when I'm on the corner, at a slaughterhouse, they'll try and say, oh, but what about this? What about that? Or I know about this better than you. Have you been inside there? I've been inside a freaking slaughterhouse, So, I love that you had that happen to you, but I also hate it too because I wish it didn't happen to you. You know what I mean? But it makes me feel better knowing that, yeah. So
we're both here just to share the truth, right?
Exactly.
The truth has been obscured and covered up, and it's not because whoever told me I can't do this as a vegan bodybuilder or whoever told you it's not that bad inside the slaughterhouse, they're not the problem. They're not the fault. They're just a sign or a symptom of something much greater and much greater in size, not so much in greatness, but larger and terrible. It's that really, I think it comes back to money, capitalism, and not to say that capitalism is evil. It's just some people in capitalism are evil, and some people at the top do not care, and they've spread all these webs of lies to get people to buy into this happy story that you need to grow up and get married, and you need to fit into society, and you need to not use drugs, and you need to eat meat and eat the food pyramid because that's what the government says is best for you.
Yeah, because the government always tells us what's best for us and never lies to us.
Be a good little worker bee. Don't use the drugs that expand your mind. Use the drugs that numb your pain, and give us your life, and you'll get by.
What do you think the biggest mistake that new vegan athletes make when they're like first transitioning into going plant-based or becoming a vegan? What do you think the biggest thing is that they do wrong?
Mindset 100%. I'm lucky enough, I went vegan before I ever touched a weight. I think had I already been a bodybuilder, I might have been scared to try eating plant-based or to try going vegan. And what is crazy, Mike, is some drugs work really well. And I read this one study. They took this group of athletes. They gave them these pills. They said, hey, these pills are going to make you super fucking strong. They're steroids. We want to see how strong you can get. These athletes took the pills. They set all kinds of personal records. They came back a week later. They said, hey, just messing with you. Those are sugar pills. They could not hit the same weights because they didn't believe they were superhuman anymore. Yeah. So mindset, 100% mindset. So if placebo effect, but it's real. Like people hate on the placebo effect. But if you buy a bracelet and you think it's going to make you balance better, be stronger, guess what? You are, because you believe it. I believe you can speak things into existence. I've done it myself. Last year in February, we had 2 people on the team. I said, I want 10 before the end of the year. I didn't even have a business. I didn't have a company. I didn't have an idea of where that was going to go. I didn't know what I was going to do with 10 people, but I wanted 10 people on my team. And we got 25 a year later. I had 12 by the end of last year. We're at 25 now, and I don't know where we're going next. Maybe 1,000. I said 10,000. If I got 10,000 people I don't even know if WhatsApp can have 10,000 people in a chat, but if I got 10,000 people I can rely on and count on and say, hey, we need to get this done, I could do anything. So mindset, if you're a new vegan, if you're getting into fitness, if you're in fitness right now and you're considering it, please realize this is your superpower. This is what's going to set you apart, make you different on the mental side, which is possibly the most important, but also physically. Your blood is going to flow better. You're going to recover faster. Your inflammation is going to be less. This isn't going to hold you back whatsoever. What it will be, it'll be a learning curve. It'll take time. You're not going to be perfect when you start. A lot of people are like, oh man, it's got to be hard to learn how to cook vegan. I'm like, not if you were born that way. If you were born vegan, dude, I don't know how to cook a steak. I don't know how to cook chicken. I think I know how to make scrambled eggs because I did that at like 12 years old.
Yeah.
But I've never cooked chicken. I've never cooked beef. I've never cooked pork. I don't know how to do it. I've never done it. If you put a lot of money in front of me and said, this is dead and I'll donate it to an animal sanctuary if you cook it correctly, I would guess. Put some heat on it. I don't know. I've never used a food thermometer. So my whole point is it would take time and education and effort to learn how to cook meat. It's the same with going vegan, but ultimately there's more edible plants than animals. There's more options here. It's better for you. And the craziest part is for most people, it's more cost effective. If you're buying all the prepackaged vegan meats, no. If you're doing tofu, seitan, edamame, tempeh, TVP, super cheap, super accessible. Whole foods plant-based is probably the best diet for everyone in the world. I like some vegan junk food. I'll go that far. I got some break-free candy, vegan candy bars behind me. I'll probably have one tonight. But
I'm on my way.
It's doable. Do it. Mike, I gotta head on to the next thing here in just a minute.
That's fine, man. I appreciate you being on here, man, and I appreciate the help that you've been giving me and stuff like that. And I'll keep chatting with you another time. And sorry for keeping you this long, buddy.
Don't be sorry, man. It's another thing I'll say to vegans that have done this for a while. Keep telling your story. I feel like I've told my little hamburger story 1,000 times. I probably told it like 2,000 times off air, maybe 3,000 off air, probably 1,000 on air. But there's somebody new watching this that hasn't heard my story, and it's important to keep spreading it because it's my story, and maybe someone else can relate to that. Yep. And same for you, Mike. For anybody else listening, keep telling your story. People are faster to identify with people and connection there than they are with ideas or beliefs or companies. I think it's easier to grow a personal page than a company page because people fall in love with the person. It's easier to fall in love with a person than a company. So keep being you. And last piece of advice. Most of us are on a vegan island. I actually have a little vegan community here. It's really, really, really cool. It fills my cup up. Maybe you can build one too, but if you're the only vegan in your family, the only vegan in your workplace, the only vegan in your school, the only vegan wherever, realize that's where you have the most power. Because there's 100 people around you and you're the only vegan, then you are what they now think of when they think of the word vegan. And my extended family used to make fun of me for a long time. And now whenever I come around, they're like, oh my God, look at what John's up to. Look what he's doing. Look at all this weight he's lifting. Look at this account. Like, they used to make fun of me until they realized this is going to stick. They're not going to be able to bully me out of it. But now they're proud of me for what I'm doing with it. And everybody that is around you that loves you, they'll love you and they'll learn to associate you with the word vegan. And that's how we're going to break people down over time.
And really quick, one last thing I'd like to say to anybody out there that's watching. I've talked with tons of vegans over the years that feel isolated and don't have vegan friends and stuff like that. If you need someone to talk to, reach out to me. I am always willing to, talk to people, and I know what it's like to feel isolated.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Very valuable. that's how we do this. We got to build vegan communities and put out new content like this. So thank you, brother.
Thank you, man.
And we'll definitely do another one.
Sounds good. Cheers.